The world map, exactly where the last video left it. Erika standing on ED and a red flag on a fort south of her with the chapter's name already attached to it. Chapter 2 took 4 videos and a mountain pass to get through. Chapter 3 has not started yet, and Claude Opus 5 begins it by walking a cursor downhill. The cursor settles and the plate unrolls. Bargo Ridge, which is the first genuinely new ground this campaign has opened since video 3. Everything in between has been one valley, and the game takes it from there. This is the part of Sacred Stones that is not a battle. The picture squeezes into a strip, the marker walks the road by itself, and the story goes in between chapters. Here is the thing the last video could not finish saying. A thief took Erika's bracelet, and this army is chasing him. At the end of chapter 2, she was searching the dark and could not finish the sentence. A bracelet, and somebody took it. The game held that back for a whole video. And the chase has run them into the mountains, where a man called Bazba keeps a band of bandits and lets them rob whatever they like. The face comes with the name, which is not how this campaign usually does it. The last 2 bosses were both anonymous until somebody wrote into them. And the last line is the one that turns an errand into a chapter. There are people up here asking for help, and Erika is not going to walk past them. So there are 2 reasons to be in these mountains, and both of them arrive before a single unit is on a board. Chapter 3. The Bandits of Borgo. 4 videos went by inside Chapter 2, and every one of them opened halfway through somebody else's turn. This is the first chapter this channel has watched start from nothing since video 3. Seth has been doing the thing a knight is actually for, which is asking the locals questions. The bandits keep a lair somewhere near here. And somebody has been listening. A girl with pink hair and a green satchel, and she has walked in looking for somebody. He went alone, she says, and that is a very dangerous thing. Where he has gone is the bandits' lair, which happens to be exactly where this army is going. The screen sits on that for a while, which is Claude reading it, and the reading is exactly right. Then the rest of it goes past in about 6 boxes. She is coming with them, and she thanks them about 3 times more than anybody needs to. She wants to protect her friends and her neighbors. And then, the detail that explains her. When she was little, she went hunting with her grandfather, which in this game is never small talk. Elsewhere in the fortress, the man with the beard has already worked out that he has visitors. Player phase, and this is not a valley. It is a building. Borgo is an interior. Stone corridors, stairwells, doorways, exactly 1 tile wide, and chests standing in rows where a bandit fortress keeps its takings. Which changes what a map is for. There's no open field anywhere on this board, so there's no going round anybody, and every fight on it will be 1 unit, meaning 1 unit in a passage. The objective in the corner reads, Seize Throne. This campaign has taken exactly one of those on the gate in Chapter 1, and it is the kind that ends with a person standing on a square, rather than with everybody dead. 10 enemies. That is the most this campaign has ever been shown at once, and they are strung right through the building between here and that throne. And Claude 7 are all in the bottom left, sealed in a walled chamber with 1 gap in the corner of it, 1 tile wide. Erika first, and the blue comes up small and stops at the walls, which is the game confirming the shape of the problem. There is no enemy inside anybody's reach anywhere on this board, so nothing that happens this turn can go badly wrong. That is worth knowing because it makes the first turn of this chapter free. Every unit can walk as far as it likes, and the worst outcome available is standing somewhere slightly wrong. This is the Lord, and she is also the objective. Erika is the only unit in this army who can seize that throne, and the only one whose death ends the chapter on the spot. So she is the prize and the liability at the same time, and every video so far has moved her the way you move something valuable. Behind somebody, a square at a time, and there is a queue behind her, 6 more units in that room, and every one of them has to leave it through the same tile in the northeast corner. 2 squares up the corridor, and her action menu opens. Item, supply, wait, which only appears once a unit has finished moving. So the move landed. Claude reads the same picture the other way round and decides the confirm did not land. So it sends another one. And the first entry on that menu is item. So instead of a move, we get the inside of Erika's bag, which this channel has genuinely never seen. A vulnerary with 3 uses on it. The red gem, a grotto general, put in her hand in a village last chapter. And a rapier. 40 uses on it, and not one of them spent. That is the Lord's own weapon. It has been in that bag since the prologue, and across 7 videos, nobody has taken it out of there once. Claude backs out and nothing is lost but the turn. The question it wanted answered is answered. She moved after all. And that is the tone of this entire first turn. The enemies are behind a wall, the clock is the only thing being spent, and a wrong press costs about 20 seconds. Nothing in that bag is going to be used today, and almost nothing in it has been used at all. But the audience has finally seen inside it. Wait, and the Lord holds 2 squares up the corridor with her whole weapon list untouched. Nothing much is going to happen for a minute, so unlike if you have 1 going spare. It does make a difference to whether this reaches anybody. Back to the corridor. Second unit up, and here is the thing that makes the next 12 minutes strange to watch. Claude does not know who it is holding, not this one, and not most of the ones after it. What it gets is a shape, a patch of blue squares, a count of how many, and a color around the edge of them, and out of those 3 things it works out what the unit must be. A short range, and it is the armor. A long one, and it is a horse. Green at the fringe instead of orange, and it is the priest, which took 2 videos to learn and has not been lost since. And it is not a bad way to play. A unit's movement is the most honest thing about it in this game. It tells you what the unit is for before it tells you its name. And this one's destination is not in doubt. There's 1 tile missing from that wall, and everybody in the room is going to use it. 6 presses in a row decided off a single picture, and in this chapter, that is safer than it has ever been. In open country, a run of arrows can leave the cursor anywhere. In a corridor 1 tile wide, there is nowhere for it to go except along, so the walls do half of the counting. Confirmed, and he takes the tile just short of the doorway. Which is the other thing this chapter is going to keep asking. A gap 1 tile wide is a wonderful place to hold and a miserable place to queue at, and Claude has 7 units and 1 door. No attack on his menu because nothing is within reach of anybody. Item and wait, and that is his whole turn. This is the rhythm now, and Claude worked it out and wrote it down somewhere in the last 2 videos. Jump to whoever still has orders, read the blue, walk them as far as it goes, take wait. 3 turns a unit. Third one up, and this range is a postage stamp. Barely out of his own footprint. That is the armor, and Claude names it right off the size alone. The slowest thing in the company. And then does something slightly surprising with it. It sends the slowest unit in the army out through the door first, to put it at the front of the column. Which is arguable and interesting. He has the most armor and the least ground, so a corridor suits him better than open country does. Nothing can get round him, and he does not have to catch anybody. And he is through the gap. That is the first unit of this army standing outside the room it started in. Which is not nothing. Chapter 2 spent 4 videos filing an army through a mountain pass. This chapter is opened by filing it through a door. Wait, and the armor holds the passage. 2 of 7 moved. This is going to be a long march, and Fire Emblem is a game that will quite happily let you spend an entire turn walking. Fourth up, and this one is wide. A long blue range, and it does something the other 3 did not. It spills east along the bottom of the map, out of this chamber by a completely different route. So there is a second way out of this room, and it belongs to whoever has a horse. Claude sees it and turns it down. Keep the company together is the reason given rather than send a lone rider east. And that is the instinct that has kept this army alive for 7 videos. 1 horse on its own, in a corridor, in a building with 10 bandits in it, is a horse that does not come back. And he settles in behind the leaders, rather than in front of them. Which is the difference between cavalry and a cavalry charge, and this army has never once managed the second one. It moves like a column. Which leaves the queue looking like this: armor at the front out in the passage, a soldier at the doorway, the lord 2 squares back, and a horse beside her. It is a sensible order, it has cost nobody anything, and it is also, if we are honest about it, 4 units walking about a dozen squares between them. Wait, and on to the 5th. Meanwhile, the other side of this board has not moved a pixel. Ten bandits, all of them exactly where they were when the map opened, which is a thing this game does that is worth knowing about. Most enemies in Fire Emblem sit still until something walks inside their reach, and then they all come at once. So this quiet is not the map being empty, it is the map waiting. Fifth unit, 2 squares north, back of the column. And the ordering is the only real decision in this entire march. Whoever ends up at the head of that passage is the one the building meets first, and Claude has put the armor there. Wait, and that is 5 of them moved. 14 minutes in, and I want to be straight about what this video is. Nobody has swung at anybody. No forecast has opened. There is not 1 point of damage on this board in either direction. What there is instead is a chapter opening properly for the first time in 4 videos, a map made of corridors, and a girl who walked into the story 10 minutes ago and has not been seen since. Sixth up, and Claude thinks this is the last of them. The straggler is the word it uses. 2 squares north to close up on the rest, and the phase ought to end the moment this one waits. Which is the sort of thing you can only know by counting, and Claude has been counting all video. 6 units, 6 sets of orders, and the phase should tidy itself up when the last of them sits down. Weight taken, and the phase does not end. Somebody in this army still has orders, and the game puts a name on the panel. Mimi, 17 health, pink hair, and a bow. The girl from the opening scene. She joined this army the moment the chapter started. She has been standing in that chamber for 12 minutes, and Claude has just marched her north with everybody else without ever knowing which one she was. That is a 7th unit. This army has been 6 of them since chapter 2, and the number went up during a conversation that went past faster than anybody could read it. And the hunting with the grandfather turns out to have been the game explaining, well in advance, why the new one carries a bow. Last one, and this range is enormous. From the back of the room to the head of the passage in one move, that is a paladin, and Claude has it right off the reach alone. Seth, who has done very nearly all of this army's killing across 7 videos, and who has spent this entire one standing in the corner of a room. And now he goes to the front, which is the right place for him, and part of why this chapter has stayed quiet enough to talk over. Weight taken, everybody has moved, and the turn goes over to the other side. And somebody arrives. A boy with blue hair leans in over the map and says, "And here we go." No nameplate, no introduction, nothing on the screen saying who he is. What there is, a second later, is a green unit standing in the passage north of Claude's column, where there was nobody at all a minute ago. Green means he fights on this army's side and takes no orders from it. This channel has had 3 of those and has never commanded one of them. And if you were listening at the top of the video, somebody went off alone into the bandit's lair, and it worried the girl with the bow enough to bring her here. Player phase, turn 2, and that whole enemy phase went by without one of the 10 moving a single square. Which is worth saying plainly, because it is what this chapter is. They are holding a building, nobody is coming out to meet Claude, so every step towards them is Claude's own choice and Claude's own timing. And that is the last thing this Claude does. 36 turns, and the session is finished. What happens next is that another one starts with no memory of any of it, reads a page of notes, and works out where the army had got to from a screenshot. Which happens in nearly every one of these videos, and the interesting part is still what survives it. Not the reasoning, not the plan anybody was holding. One text file, and whatever is on the screen. 90 seconds of a completely still board while that goes on. Time for the building then. The throne is in the far corner, past 4 rooms and 10 bandits, and the only unit in this army who can do anything with it when she gets there is the one at the back of the column. Which makes this chapter a delivery problem. Everybody else exists to get Erica to a chair. And the new one comes up, reads the page, and names its first unit correctly. Franz, Cavalier 20 of 20. The notes it inherited have him by name, which is more than most of this video has managed. Which is a better handover than this channel has had in a while. 2 videos ago, the incoming session read a page that was 2 runs old and called the Priest a Knight for 3 turns. And it walks the cursor the length of that corridor, past everybody, to the square at the head of it. Confirmed, and that puts a horse at the front of a 1-tile passage on full health with nothing at all in reach of him. And directly below him, 1 square back, the green figure that arrived on the last phase. So, the boy who went off alone into a bandit's lair now has a cavalier standing between him and the rest of the building, which nobody arranged. Claude has never once called him anything but a green-robed villager. Wait, and Franz Gray's out on point. And that is the last thing that happens on this board for 2 minutes. The run's clock is nearly out. Claude cannot see a clock, has never been able to see one, and as far as this session is concerned, there is all afternoon to walk the rest of the army up a corridor. What it does get in the last minute is a request: put the game away. Which it is asked to do rather than told, and it has ignored the asking before now. A save that lands where Claude chose is worth more than one that lands wherever the clock happens to stop. For the moment, nothing. 2 minutes of a board with Franz's nameplate on it, a green figure below him, and 10 bandits standing precisely where they have stood since the chapter opened. It is the stillest stretch this channel has recorded, and it is a fair picture of what Chapter 3 has been so far. Quiet enough for the other small thing. Subscribe if you have got this far and would like the next one to turn up on its own. That is the last I will say about it. "10 bandits, 7 units, a whole building in between, and this video has spent 21 minutes getting an army through one doorway." Which sounds like a complaint and is not one. That doorway is the reason nobody has died. There's nothing to look at here, and that is worth sitting with. A board with nothing moving on it is what a great deal of this game actually looks like. And here is a new one, coming up cold with a minute left and a single thing to do. Read the notes, read the screen, put the chapter away. It asks for the next unit with orders and gets Gilliam, 25 of 25, blue spread across the stones around him, which is a unit picked up in the middle of a room, and it is in the way of the only thing Claude actually wants to do. Because you cannot open the map menu while you are holding somebody. That press goes into the unit's move instead. Which is a small piece of this game's grammar that has cost this channel real turns before now. The same button does 4 different things depending on what is underneath the cursor. And Claude has it. The route to a menu here is almost always to cancel whatever you did last, and then press on empty ground. Cancelled, and the map is clear again. The cursor is sitting on Gilliam on the stairs. And this is the bit that matters. On a unit, that press picks the unit up. On empty ground, it opens the menu. Units, status, guide, options, suspend, end. 6 entries, and suspend is second from the bottom. Claude is known for 4 videos that the quickest way to the end of a list is to go up from the top. 2 up through the wrap, and it lands on suspend first ask. And the game asks whether it wants to quit, with a portrait leaning in over the battle map as though it were asking a favor. Which is the whole of the closing act the series gets. No chapter cleared, no boss down, nothing resolved. A menu, a question, and a chapter set down where it stands. Yes, and it goes into storage exactly as it is. Turn 2, 7 units alive, 10 bandits alive, and not one blow struck between them. Title screen, which is this game agreeing that it happened. What Claude leaves behind is a page with a plan on it. Feed the units up the north passage, fight the bandits at the corridor mouth where only 1 or 2 can reach at a time, then push east and seize with Erika. It is a good plan. It also says the party is 6.